Trump indictment unsealed, and the deep state wants him behind bars for 400 years. Good morning, Boston. My friends, I don't know what else to say, really. You look at what now, the charges that have been officially unsealed against former President Donald Trump, and we are now witnessing, without question, one of the most corrupt acts in the history of the United States. I am choosing my words extremely carefully. It is beyond a joke. It is beyond a witch hunt. This is now the deliberate targeting and destruction of not just a former president, but of the leading presidential rival, the leading presidential opponent of the regime in power. All the polls show Donald Trump is leading the Republican field. In fact, in the wake of this, an unbelievable indictment, he now has opened up even a bigger lead over all of his other Republican opponents. He now leads Ron DeSantis by 40 points. He has over 61% support in a Republican primary field. He is way ahead. If anything, this indictment has politically strengthened Trump. But if you look at the actual indictment itself, my friends, there's no other way to put it. We are now not the United States of America. We are the Banana Republic of America. 37 counts. 37. And at this point, I'm like, why not just go for 100? No, really, if you're just gonna, it's like the Alvin Bragg indictment. If you're just gonna rack it up and rack it up and rack it up, why stop at 34 or 37 or even 40? Go for the big 100. Come on, guys. What the hell? I mean, at this point, let's not quibble. Get the 3 digits. 31 of the 37 counts are violations, I swear to you, of supposedly, allegedly, the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act, claiming that Trump illegally retained national defense information. The other 6 counts talk about a conspiracy to obstruct justice, conspiracy to make false statements, obstruction of justice, making false statements. And so in total, if he gets the maximum sentence for every single charge, and they are, the penalty is the judge makes the prison sentence runs consecutively and not concurrently, he will get 400 years in jail. Now, in reality, most legal experts believe that's not what's going to happen. They're looking more at 25 to 30 years, which, by the way, would kill Trump. 25 to 30 years would mean that Trump would definitely, he's 76 years old. I doubt the man's going to live past 100. He would die behind bars in federal prison. And that is exactly now what the Biden regime wants, what Jack Smith, that scumbag special prosecutor, wants. It's what the media wants, and it's certainly what the Never-Trumpers want. When I say jubilation, they are dancing, they're popping champagne corks, they are delirious in delirium with sheer joy and happiness. This is now one of the greatest moments of their entire pathetic lives. They believe they are dancing not just on Trump's professional political grave, but literally on his actual grave. That he will be hauled off in an orange jumpsuit, shackled. He will be put behind bars where he will rot in prison for the rest of his life. In other words, these people are now celebrating for the first time in American history, and what is common in dictatorial authoritarian regimes all over the world, the deliberate weaponization of the government, the use of the government's immense prosecutorial power to deliberately target, jail, and imprison a leading presidential rival and a former president of the United States. You cannot make this up. As I said on Twitter, and I'm going to say it again, we are now living in a dictatorship. That's what this is. This is now an authoritarian regime, and this indictment is part of a tyrannical police state that now wants to wipe out not just Trump, but anyone who challenges the swamp, the Washington cartel, the ruling class, or the deep state. Anyone that challenges the regime, they are now telling us loudly and clearly, we will destroy you. And we're making an example now out of Trump. And if you look at the actual charges, it's beyond laughable. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Number one, they're acting as if the Presidential Records Act doesn't even exist. I'm telling you, this is out of Stalinist Russia. It's a kangaroo court, and it's on completely fabricated, manufactured charges. As Alan Dershowitz said over the weekend, and I agree with him, not 100, but 1,000%, what they are now doing to Trump is what one of our most famous chief justices warned you can never do in a constitutional republic or in a democracy. Find a man, target a man, and then say, I want you to go through every single law book. I want you to get every special prosecutor you can, and you get him. If he spits on the sidewalk, you get him. You just get him, get him, get him. And this is a political hit job. Make no mistake about it. Jack Smith was given a mandate by Merrick Garland and Joe Biden, and Joe Biden admitted it a year ago. Trump must be prosecuted. He must be put behind bars. Now go find the crime. Go make up the crime if you have to. The Espionage Act. Who did Trump spy on? Who did he spy with? So what now? He was working with the Iranians? He's working with the Russians? He's working with the Chinese? Who did he spy with? Who did he spy on? What classified documents, national defense documents did he allegedly give to the Russians or the Chinese or the Saudis or the Iranians? Or I could run down the whole list. Nothing. And this makes Russia collusion look like a Sunday picnic. And the entire indictment, it's as if the Presidential Records Act was never written. The Presidential Records Act states clearly, unequivocally, it is black letter law, that the President of the United States can take classified, sensitive, unclassified material and documents with him even after he leaves office. Let me repeat that. The Presidential Records Act clearly stipulates that a president of the United States, because the president is the controlling authority on what's classified and not classified, he's the ultimate arbiter. The president can take any classified, top secret, unclassified document with him or her after they leave the White House. So what are we talking about? They're going on about, we found boxes in Mar-a-Lago's bathroom. We found boxes in the ballroom. We found boxes in this storage room. And they moved it from this storage room to another storage room. He can do whatever he wants with those documents. They're his. He's the president. The Presidential Records Act covers him. So they're going after him for a non-crime. But even to me, what's worse than that, I want you to just stand back for a second. Look at now the blatant conflict of interest that we have now engulfed this country. And that's why I'm telling you, we've crossed the Rubicon. There's no going back. How can you go back? The party in power has now enabled the corrupt justice system, the corrupt FBI, the corrupt DOJ, to target their leading presidential opponent. Not just the former president, but the man who's leading in all polls. They want to jail him, to destroy his entire candidacy, and to put him in prison. This is what they do in third world dictatorships. This is literally the definition of an authoritarian police state. My question to you, is Trump guilty or not guilty? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Would Trump have been indicted? Would he be being indicted now if he was not running for the presidency? Yes or no? In other words, had he decided not to run for another term, if he decided to just say after 2020, I'm done, would he be being indicted as we speak? Yes or no? To me, I think the answer is clearly, unequivocally, obviously, niet. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuh, N as in Nancy, ER. As always, the Kuhner Country poll question of the day is sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. If you prefer, you can vote on our Twitter handle, at the Kuhner Report, all of it one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuh, N as in Nancy, ER. You can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 917. Jeff, a little thought experiment is due. If back in November of 2020, Trump announced that he was done with politics and was now going to spend his last years with his lovely wife, children, and grandchildren, and wished the next administration well, does anyone believe he would have been hectored and hounded like this? Of course not. But the horrifying part is I have family members who were literally giddy about Trump's persecution. No, I got to tell you, to me, there are two stories here. One is the actual and this is clearly now persecution, the harassment, persecution, and prosecution of Trump. To me, there's no question now. They are jailing, imprisoning opponents of the regime, and in this case, the leading political opponent of the regime. So I think there's no question. This to me is to me the key story. It means the rule of law is over. It means our democracy is being killed and destroyed right in front of our eyes. It means now that the Department of Justice and the FBI are irredeemably corrupt. And really now it means that we are no longer a constitutional republic. We have to now wake up to this unpleasant, seminal fact that the radical left has now hijacked and destroyed our democratic society. There's no question about it now. They're weaponizing the government to trample on people's civil liberties in order to target and imprison opponents. And that's what this is all about. Because the blatant double standard here, we have two standards of justice. Joe Biden He was never the president until now. So all those documents he had that he took as vice president, as senator, he had no right to have them. Those were crimes. Nothing. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 subpoenaed documents. They were under subpoena. Many of them, not just highly classified, many of them top secret. Destroyed. In fact, phones, literally phones where they were on, smashed with hammers. Nothing. So this is now what is now clearly the context of the indictment of Trump. If you're a Democrat, you can get away with anything. If you're a Republican, they will get you. They will get you on nothing. Now, so you have this growing authoritarianism, this now slide to a tyrannical police state that is now happening in front of our eyes, this complete betrayal and abandonment of democracy. And then you have the radical left. I get the emails. I get the text messages. You got to see them on social media. These people are pathetic losers, man. Like, one guy lives in your head rent-free like this? Like, yeah. So they're crying. Some of them are literally tears of joy. Yeah. He's going to go to jail. Yeah. And I'm looking at this and like, you pathetic loser, man. Like, really? Someone else's misery is your happiness? Like, you want to talk about sadism? You want to talk about the totalitarian instinct, the totalitarian thugs that are coming out of the woodwork? I want to ask you two questions. What do you make of the indictments now? 37 counts, 400 years in jail if he's given the max. Are we now witnessing a slide into dictatorship? Are we now witnessing the birth, clearly, of a dictatorship and an authoritarian police state? And would Trump be being indicted if he was not running for the presidency? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the indictment now, the first ever federal indictment against a former president or leading presidential rival in the history of the United States. 37 counts. It's unbelievable. If he gets the maximum on every single one, and he must serve them consecutively, 400 years in jail. 400 years. That's the bloodlust that they are now exhibiting in order to destroy Donald Trump. More likely, according to legal analysts, Jack Smith wants to put Trump behind bars for about 25 to 30 years. Essentially, he will die in federal prison. This is now their ultimate wish. Listen now to President Trump, because I think he hit the nail right on the head. Over the weekend, he came out swinging. He went to Georgia. He went to North Carolina. And he said, even if I'm convicted, even if I have to run this campaign from a jail cell, I will not back down. The only way to stop me is to kill me. Listen now to Trump. If I wasn't running, do you think they'd even be indicting me? Roll cut 7E, Mike.
But this is more like Stalinist Russia or communist China that we're dealing with. These people have reached a level of Trump derangement syndrome that nobody thought was possible. And I never thought, frankly, that this could happen in America. And because I'm running, if I wasn't running, wouldn't even be talking about it. If I weren't leading, we wouldn't be talking about it.
He's completely right. He's completely right. Who are we kidding? Honestly, who are we kidding? He decided to say, okay, well, I served one term. I lost to Joe Biden. Sayonara. He's off and off to the sunset. You think they'd be indicting him now? You think Bragg would be going after him? You think Jack Smith would be going after him on this ridiculous mishandling classified information? Or January 6th? Or Georgia? They're going to go after him on that as well? Absolutely not. Everybody knows it. Who are we kidding? And more so, if he wasn't leading the Republican presidential field by such massive numbers, if he wasn't leading Joe Biden in poll after poll after poll, that's why they're going after him. So the only way now to take him out is to jail him. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree. Jeff in Ohio. Thanks for holding, Jeff, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much for taking my phone call, Jeff, and I hope you had a good weekend and got a little rest from all this crap.
Well, actually, Jeff, I've been reading on it the whole weekend, but anyway.
I figured you were all over. I'm on the radio 24/7, my earbuds at different stations. We got it covered. The bottom line is I think they want to take Trump out because he's exposing them, and he's the only one doing it. And it's kind of like a race to beat the stupid people so they can take over the country because the smart people can still resist. Bottom line is, though, we're playing with an enemy that has the golden ticket, which is called the pardon. So no matter what they do, how many times they do it, as I said, he should have been already impeached, but they won't touch him. Whenever they hold him to the fire at the end, if it ever comes to an end, he can turn around and pardon Obama, everybody, himself, Hunter, you name it. He's got a blank check. Plus, he's also got another $4 trillion that's still from us. So it's a win-win-win situation for him. I hate to say it, but no matter how much we get him or hold him, they got to get out of jail free ticket. And I don't know if they meant that when they did that in the Constitution or not. But that's a flaw, in my opinion. What do you say there, Jeffrey?
Well, look, Jeff, you're right. They're holding a lot of the cards now, but they're clearly abusing their power. You've seen the poll numbers. Trump has gotten another massive boost. Fundraising is through the roof. I don't think they really understand the destructive forces now that they've unleashed. In fact, I know they haven't. They have alienated now a majority of the country. I think the country's now broken. I'll be very clear. I'll be honest. I don't think you're going to put back this country. It'll never be the same again. And they've unleashed anarchy. And you're going to see now it's lawfare now. And what they don't realize is now it's going to blow back against them. And so what I'm calling for, and by the way, there were stories now all weekend long, McCarthy is now under withering pressure to impeach Joe Biden. He's under withering pressure. And I don't mean from Republicans on the Hill, from voters all across the country. His phone line is being melted down to the point now that we're basically putting the bayonet, the political bayonet, to his back. Either you impeach or we're going to demand your removal and get somebody who will. I think now Biden must be impeached. I think Merrick Garland. I think it's now time for Republicans to go, when I mean take the gloves off, they've got to go scorched earth on the offensive. And I know McCarthy's a rhino, and I know he doesn't want to go to war. He better go to war. If he doesn't go to political war against this corrupt, out of control, tyrannical regime, and that's what they now are. This is full-blown authoritarianism. So we want to know, do you stand with the Constitution? Do you stand with democracy? Do you stand with the Bill of Rights? Do you stand with the rule of law? If the answer is no, get out of the way. You're not now for this time. Forget it. It's no longer business as usual. So what I'm urging everybody to do, Biden must now be impeached. They have to now feel the consequences of their actions. And that means we have to grind the government to a halt. And we've got to expose Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, not to you and me. We know all the crimes. But the American people need to know why they're indicting Trump. And they need to know the only reason why Trump is being indicted is to cover up the explosive revelations that Joe Biden took $5 million from a top Burisma executive, and so did his son, Hunter. $10 million in exchange for policy positions and to get Viktor Shokin, the top Ukrainian prosecutor, fired. So we're talking about naked bribery, naked pay to play, naked treason. It's the biggest story in the world. And now they've blown it off the radar by indicting Trump. We have to impeach Biden and make this the story that everybody understands. That's what they're trying to cover up. So McCarthy now must be impeached. McCarthy must impeach Biden. McCarthy must lead impeachment hearings against Biden and against Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland now needs to lose his job. You're targeting political opponents of the regime? You're manufacturing this. Remember, Garland was the one who signed off on Jack Smith and this indictment. So this is Garland and Biden's decision all the way, baby. So you now want to take out the leading presidential opponent and a former president to boot in order to secure your boss's reelection? Hey, this is not Venezuela. Hey, take it easy. This is not Russia. So Garland now must go. And Republicans now should drop everything. And I mean everything. Nothing else matters except impeaching Biden and impeaching Garland. If the Democrats want a war, it's time we give them one. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Rob in Yellowstone. Thanks for holding, Rob, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I think I last spoke to you when I was coming through Arizona. Listen, I think they would have indicted him on all this garbage, even if he wasn't running, because they need to demonstrate that you don't get away with what he was trying to do, which was to expose the deep state and expose the swamp. And nobody's going to do anything about Biden. They're not going to impeach him. This is the game. The race is run. We've been defeated. The Mexican border is gone for a number of years now. Has anybody done anything about that? No. Does anybody even say a word? Any Republican say a word about it? No. We've got drag queens dangling their stuff in front of school children. And they've been doing it for a while. And has anybody stopped it?
Well, it's going to be up to us, Rob. That's what I'm saying. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, I want to play this cut. Special counsel Jack Smith on Friday delivered a short press conference, took no answers. And this is what he said about why he's indicting Trump on 37 counts. 31 of them violations, I swear to you, of the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act. Illegally retaining national defense information, obstruction, making false statements. If he gets the max on every single charge, 400 years in prison. Mass murderers do not get 400 years in prison. But Trump, they want him behind bars for nearly half a millennium. I'm serious. And the libs love it. They love it. They love it. They're giddy. They've never, really, they're overwhelmed with joy at this point. They're getting off on it. Listen now for why Jack Smith says Trump must go to jail. Roll cut 20, Mike.
This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical for the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
Bull crap. Okay, you know what I really want to say? Bull, you know what? Okay, bull, you know what? BS. Bull crap. Bull crap. One set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone? Really? Tell me, do they apply to Joe Biden? Do they apply to Hunter Biden? How about Hillary Clinton? Now, here's what I want to do, okay? Just to show you the double standard, the cherry picking, the sheer hypocrisy and lies, the propaganda of this despicable, and now it has to be said, dictatorial regime. This is what it's like now to live under a dictatorship. I want to go back to James Comey. Do you remember in the summer of 2016, then FBI Director James Comey delivered one of the biggest press conferences in the history of the United States? Everybody was saying Hillary Clinton now is going to get indicted. The evidence is overwhelming. 33,000 classified documents and emails on an unsecure server in her freaking basement. She destroyed them. She bleached them. They destroyed the iPhones and the cell phones that the information was on. And again, I want to stress this. Those were subpoenaed documents. Subpoenaed. And you want to talk about destruction of evidence, obstruction of justice. Okay, this was it. And dozens of those emails were marked top secret. Not just this classified. Everything is classified in Washington. Top secret. Gone. Gone. She refused to hand them over. She destroyed them. Did they go after her on the Espionage Act? Did they raid her home in Chappaqua or Whitehaven? Were they leaking illegally to the media about, oh, we have all this evidence against Hillary, oh my God? Instead, listen to what Comey said, because this now becomes so relevant. Roll cut 20A, this is July 2016, FBI Director Comey. Roll cut 20A, Mike.
Secretary Clinton's use of a personal email domain was both known by a large number of people and readily apparent. She also used her personal email extensively while outside the United States, including sending and receiving work-related emails in the territory of sophisticated adversaries. Given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
Okay, so he's talking about Russia and China, because she traveled to those countries and used their emails. So Russia and China hacked her emails and hacked classified top secret information. So spies seized her emails, her classified documents, because of her utter recklessness and irresponsibility. And remember, why did she put all this off the books? Why a private email server? Because they were making money through the Clinton Foundation. It was pay to play. The way Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family pay to play. Sell influence, sell our country down the river in exchange for hundreds of millions of dollars. So, let's go to Comey again now. And remember, think Jack Smith. Roll cut 20B. Mike.
In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. All the cases prosecuted involved some combination of clearly intentional and willful mishandling of classified information or vast quantities of information exposed in such a way as to support an inference of intentional misconduct or indications of disloyalty to the United States or efforts to obstruct justice. We do not see those things here.
No, there was no obstruction. No, when she destroys 33,000 emails and smashes the phones with the hammer. No, hey. Our spies were murdered in China in the wake of the hacking of her private email server. Our people were killed in China as a result. Our entire spy network was dismantled by the communist Chinese. Her actions directly led to the death of not only innocent people, our people, who risked their lives to spy on our number one mortal adversary. And in the end, his conclusion was, quote, no reasonable prosecutor would say I can win this case. No reasonable prosecutor, he said. Now, all of a sudden, whoa, hey, with Hillary? No. Trump? Get him. And that was Jack Smith's mandate. When Garland took him on and appointed him special counsel, he gave him one mission: get Trump. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you dress it up. And remember, throw a lot of mud at the wall. That's why it's 37 indictments. They just need to get him on one. You know, throw enough mud against the wall, you hope some of it sticks. Now, let me just say one last thing, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. 617-266-6868 is the number. Who is Jack Smith? Who is Jack Smith, the special counsel? Is he this objective, impartial, former war crimes prosecutor at The Hague? You know, the second coming of Perry Mason, as the liberal corporate lying media try to present him? Au contraire. On the contrary. He's a partisan hack. He's a partisan hack with a history of deliberately targeting Republicans that was later overturned. For example, against Virginia Republican Governor Bob McDonnell, this moron went after McDonnell on public corruption because he took a gift, literally some $50 gift, and said, oh, the corruption. The Supreme Court overturned the conviction of Governor McDonnell unanimously, 8-0. Even the liberal justices sided with the other conservatives, saying, are you out of your mind? You can then, the way you're defining a quote-unquote bribe, you give someone a pen, and it could suddenly be, he's been bought and paid for. Let's get him. He's not only an Obama supporter, he not only was the head of the public integrity unit under Obama that deliberately targeted conservative groups with Lois Lerner. He was with Lois Lerner when they were targeting conservatives and Tea Party groups. This SOB has been doing this now for decades. Targeting opponents and rivals of Democrats. His wife is a huge Michelle Obama supporter. His wife cut a $2,000 check to the Biden re-election campaign. He's a Biden hack. He's a Clinton hack, and his wife is a Biden, Michelle Obama hack. They're partisan Democrats. And he's now a paid assassin. What he is a legal hitman. And, you know, when you look at him, I'm serious. You just look at the guy, those cold, dead eyes of his. All that's missing is the tail and the smell of sulfur and the trident. He'd be perfect as one of the devil's helpers, keeping those souls in the pit down in hell. I mean, you look at this guy, you're like, holy mackerel. His job is only one job, and that is to put Trump behind bars. This man was born in the wrong time. He should have been born in Stalin's Russia or in Hitler's Germany. Show me the man, and I'll show you the crime. 617-266-6868 is the number. Kenny in Florida. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome.
Jeff, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kenny. Can you hear me? Kenny, I need you to turn down the radio, my friend. We can hear it in the background, and it's distracting.
Okay, hang on this sec. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Kenny.
Okay, buddy, sorry. I'll make it quick because I'm in the middle of a physical therapy here. But just want to say, you know, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, they told them they had to turn the cameras off. Fortunately, I see that according to Eric Trump, they kept them on. So I don't know what kind of document footage they have there. But they also did not let any of the employees that were there or the attorney, I know that he has several attorneys, get near the documents that they were supposedly searching. And then thirdly, they went into his safe. They broke into the safe, which had nothing in it, according to Eric Trump, who was kind of dealing with everything. But to me, Jeff, just the fact that they did that, they did not want to allow any cameras, you know, no witnesses to see what they were putting in the files or removing, more so put in. I think that alone, I mean, I know that might sound a little simple, but that alone should throw the case out. Just right there. I mean, that's just me. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's many grounds to throw the case out. And it looks like it's going to go to the Supreme Court. You know, I have no faith or confidence in the Supreme Court because I see many of these justices as yellow-livered cowards. But if they rule by the merits of the law and the Constitution and the evidence, which is what they should be basing their decisions on, they're going to laugh this case out of court. I mean, laugh. Literally, I can shred this case 6 ways to Sunday. And I'll just take what you're saying, because you're right. What the FBI was looking for, it's now come out, were the documents that Trump declassified on Crossfire Hurricane. That was his insurance policy. He knew Obama, who's the mastermind behind all of this. Obama ordered the FBI to spy on Trump as his presidential campaign, and then when he was in the White House. That's a crime. That's a massive crime. So, Obama, along with James Comey, John Brennan, Joe Biden, all of them together colluded with the Hillary Clinton campaign to frame Trump for Russia collusion. They knew this came from the Steele dossier. They knew it came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. They knew it was 100% garbage, horse manure, horse crap. They knew it. Brennan even told them it's it's garbage. None of it has been verified. There's no evidence for any of this. Now, why did Hillary do it? It's the same playbook. They had to take off the news cycle, her server, her emails, the 33,000 classified documents she destroyed. What do? Create a news story. Blame Trump. How do you blame Trump? Make him seem like he's an agent of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin. Whenever they want to distract from a Democrat scandal, they blame Trump. So Obama thought it was a brilliant strategy. And then they said, you know what? Now we can use this as an excuse to surveil Trump and his people, to spy on him. And we're going to help Hillary frame Trump with the full help of the FBI and the Department of Justice. And they're doing the exact same thing all over again. What they're now doing is they are taking out the leading political rival of the regime in power. So you are completely right. Trump declassified Crossfire Hurricane. That was their mission, their covert mission, to spy on Trump and frame him as an agent of Russia. When the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, those were the documents that they wanted. That's why they went through every single room. They went into Barron's room. They went into Melania's room. They went into her wardrobe. I know people get upset about this, but I have to state the facts. They went through her freaking underwear. Literally, they went through her underwear. They went through Trump's safe. They took his passports. They took his books. They took Trump's clothes. They took everything because they wanted to get those documents, because those documents are the smoking gun documents that don't just hang Hillary. They hang Comey, they hang Brennan, they hang Clapper, they hang Biden, and they hang the most important of them all, the big guy, the real big guy, Barack Hussein Obama. That's why they had to raid Mar-a-Lago. And now, to deflect from this, they have to bury Trump behind bars. That's what this is all about. So look here with the left hand. Look here. Trump's being indicted. Oh my God. Go to prison 400 years. And the right hand, the Crossfire Hurricane documents, boom. They're gone. So, Kenny, if the Supreme Court looks at this, they should throw this case out within 10 seconds. So, fingers crossed. Because I don't want to... Look, the Wall Street Journal, which is an establishment newspaper, to their credit, wrote a brilliant editorial on Saturday. And I'm going to quote you what they say in the editorial. The prosecution of Trump will now unleash, quote unquote, destructive democratic forces that no longer can be controlled and that risk tearing the country apart. So, even the Wall Street Journal, no friend of Donald Trump, believe me, is saying, you start going after leading political rivals, the blowback, you can't control it. The destructive furies, the forces that you've unleashed, you can't control it. As I told Grace last night over dinner, I said, to me, let me tell you what's happened. It's an affair. Whatever it is, the wife comes home and has caught her husband in bed with the secretary, or the husband comes home and catches the wife in bed with the mailman. Okay, whatever it is. You've now caught your spouse in bed. You can't control what happens after that point. Do you patch things up? Do you not patch things up? What happens? What the fallout is? The stone has been cracked. They've just cracked the stone. I think everybody now must come to terms with this. There is no going back. And so what I'm urging, Kevin McCarthy, this is it. I don't care. I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't care what his focus group says. I don't care what Frank Luntz says. I don't care what, I don't want to hear it anymore. Will you impeach Joe Biden today? Period. And Merrick Garland today. That's it. That's it. The Democrats now have to pay a tremendous price. They have to know there are consequences to their actions. So if you want to put an innocent man in jail, if you want to start rounding up your political opponents, if you want to abuse the law and weaponize our government and the DOJ and the FBI to target political opponents of the regime and former presidents, you're going to be impeached, you're going to be humiliated, you're going to be exposed, and we are going to essentially grind the government to a halt. Like, this is, to me, a bare minimum that now needs to be done. And so many of you say, well, Jeff, what can I do? Call Kevin McCarthy's phone and say, we're not asking, we're demanding. Impeach Biden, impeach Garland now. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, it's time now to demand that Kevin McCarthy impeach Joe Biden, as well as impeach Merrick Garland. Many of you are asking, Jeff, what's the phone number to call? Call 202-225-2915. That's McCarthy's direct line up on Capitol Hill. If it's full, busy, whatever, then I want you to call 202-225-4000. That's going to get you the Capitol Hill operator, and just say, give me the Speaker's office. Please be polite. Please be respectful. But tell them you're demanding that McCarthy impeach Biden and impeach him now. One, for the $5 million bribery scheme that was uncovered by Kuhner and by the Republicans last week. So he must be impeached for that. And two, for Biden agreeing and signing off on the prosecution of Donald Trump. On both grounds, he must be impeached. And Merrick Garland must be impeached as well. And the Speaker now needs to be told unequivocally that if he will not fight back, if he will not resist, then he should be overthrown in a leadership challenge and someone else should come in who will. So, either you impeach Biden and stand up to this rogue, out-of-control regime, or we will find somebody who will. So the number again, I'll be giving it out periodically throughout the show, 202-225-2915. If that is full or they're not answering, 202-225-4000. 617-266-6868 is the number. Sandra in Boston. Thanks for holding, Sandra, and welcome.
Jeff, they're waxing histrionic about the national security aspect of this, but they left $85 billion worth of equipment, highly sophisticated equipment in Afghanistan, and I have seen no effort on their part to get any of it back. Furthermore, the comparison with Hillary Clinton's live electronic emails were no doubt intercepted, and they resulted in the death of people. These are what we're talking about with Trump are some files that nobody even knew about in a box. And I just think this is really, they are sending people they want to send Trump to this metaphorical Chateau d'If, where they can silence him and where he can never uncover all of the crimes that they have committed.
Oh, you're dead on. Look, the documents that they're going on about, and they're showing pictures, and again, the FBI, these are all illegal leaks. That's the other thing. They're leaking illegally. So they leaked this ridiculous picture of documents, apparently in some bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. And then they leaked some more pictures of these documents in a ballroom. And they're trying to make it seem like, oh, look how sloppy he is. Look how reckless. Look how irresponsible. They're just trying to inflame the country. He had, first of all, most of those documents, there's nothing in them. There's personal files, memos, letters. I mean, it's irrelevant. Okay, that's number one. Number two, he has a right to every single document. Every single document he has a right to. So who cares how he stores them? I'm like, so what? Now, notice, they're not talking about Biden's 1,850 boxes with thousands and thousands of classified documents in Chinatown, at the Penn Biden Center, in his freaking garage right next to his Corvette for years that he had no right to. The fact that he had them was illegal. It's illegal to take them. It's illegal to possess them. The guy had them in some cases for freaking decades. Nothing. Nothing. No one's raiding his house in Wilmington. No one's raiding the beach house in Rehoboth. He's not getting prosecuted. He's not going to jail. So right there, you want selective prosecution. You want cherry picking. You want two standards of justice. It's hitting everybody in the face. They're out to get Trump. That's all. This is a witch hunt, pure and simple.
William Barr, I mean, what a Brutus. I was listening to some of the things he was saying over the weekend, and he has a lot to answer for, I think, in why he didn't do more when he knew about that 1023 form.
Well, he didn't just know about the 1023 form, and you're completely right. He knew that the Bidens were on the take and taking money, 10 million that we know of, from Ukraine. He also knew about Hunter Biden's laptop. He knew about it. He knew everything that was on Hunter Biden's laptop, and he did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. So it's clear to me this guy has been a weasel, a swamp creature, a little snake from the beginning. From the beginning. And now Fox News loves him now, Sandra. He's toast. Trump is finished. Trump is done. Put a fork in him. One of the biggest mistakes Trump ever made was to appoint Bill Barr as Attorney General. Because you want to talk about a Judas. This guy is the mother of all Judases. Sandra, thank you very much for that call. In fact, we're going to play the Bill Barr cut coming back in. I want to take more of your calls. The indictment is now unsealed. 37 counts. What say you? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to Porterhouse Steak Bill Barr. I think Fox is throwing steak after steak at him because, man, he's everywhere now on Fox. And as you know, Porterhouse, he likes a good porterhouse. And once he's had his steak, then he likes to dig into Trump. Listen now to Bill Barr saying, whoa, Trump is finished. He's toast. Roll cut 21. Mike.
It started out under the Presidential Records Act and the archives trying to retrieve documents that Trump had no right to have. But it quickly became clear that what the government was really worried about were these classified and very sensitive documents. I was shocked by the degree of sensitivity of these documents and how many there were, frankly. And so the government's agenda was to get those, protect those documents and get them out. And I think it was perfectly appropriate to do that. It was the right thing to do. And I think the counts under the Espionage Act that he willfully retained those documents are solid counts. Now, I do think we have to wait and see what the defense says and what proves to be true. But I do think that even half what Andy McCarthy said, which is if even half of it is true, then he's toast. I mean, it's a very detailed indictment, and it's very, very damning.
Right. Only in the delusions and in the fever delusionary minds of never Trumpers like Porterhouse. You know, this guy, you throw him a steak and he'll say whatever you want him to say. So how does this violate the Espionage Act? He's like, well, it started off with the Presidential Records Act, but now it's devolved into the Espionage Act. Well, number one, did they get all the documents back? And this is another point I made to Grace last night, is we're talking, over the whole, I go, they got everything back. And then some. I mean, they got everything. They got his underwear. They got his books. They got his passports. They got his golf clubs. They've got everything. So they got every single document back. So what's the problem? What's the problem? Every other administration, they haggle. Under the Presidential Records Act, you haggle. No, I want this for my memoirs. I want to write this for my autobiography. I want this as evidence to bolster my case. Whatever. The generals wanted me to attack. I didn't want to attack Iran. This happens in every single administration. But not with Trump. With Trump, it becomes criminalized. The legal and the normal become criminalized. So, okay, now you've gotten all of the documents back. So tell me, who did he spy with? Who did he spy with? Show me. Where in the indictment are you going to prove what documents did he give to the communist Chinese or the Russians or the Iranians or the North Koreans or the Saudis or anybody? Listen now to Lindsey Graham. He went toe-to-toe with Steffi Stephanopoulos on ABC this week, and he's making the obvious point. And you know me, I'm not a big fan of Lindsey Graham, but on this, he's 1,000% correct. You're charging him with the Espionage Act? Are you on crack? What is this guy now? Julian Assange? Roll cut 28. Mike.
Did he do things wrong? Yes, he may have. He will be tried about that. But Hillary Clinton wasn't. Your old boss committed perjury in a civil lawsuit, lost his law license, obstructed justice in a dozen ways, and he didn't get prosecuted. I know. And he was impeached. Well, he was impeached, but he wasn't prosecuted.
You've made your point. What you also said something that I believe is not true based on what's in the indictment. You said that he did not disseminate any of this information. In fact, there's an audio tape in the indictment where he's talking about the secret information, saying he knows it's secret, knows it's not declassified.
But look at who's been charged under Espionage Act. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning. People who turn over classified information to news organizations to hurt the country or provide it to a foreign power. That did not happen here. Donald Trump, you may hate his guts, but he is not a spy. He did not commit espionage.
Of course he's not a spy. And of course he didn't commit espionage. That's 31 of the 37 cases are on about he violated the Espionage Act. Do you know how insane all of this is? Honest to God, I thought Russia collusion was freaking insane. Ho, this is another dimension. Whoa, this is not the inmates running the asylum now. This is the asylum running the country. Listen now to Lindsey Graham again. Roll cut 28A. Mike.
I think the espionage charges are completely wrong, and I think they paint an impression that doesn't exist. This is not espionage. And I do believe, George, that most people on my side of the aisle believe when it comes to Donald Trump, there are no rules, and you can do the exact same thing or something very similar as a Democrat, and nothing happens to you.
Hold on a second, Senator.
The leading candidate for president of the United States on the Republican side is being prosecuted by his opponent.
There you go. That's what's... Now, remember, they impeached Trump in the first impeachment for allegedly... This is what they alleged. He was asking Zelensky to investigate corruption allegations, again, which all turned out now to be true regarding Burisma. That's another massive bombshell revelation. But let that go. The argument was... he has to be impeached. Well, why does he have to be impeached? He asked Zelensky to investigate his leading political rival, Joe Biden. We're not talking now about a freaking investigation. Now they're openly prosecuting their leading political rival. Hello? Can you say Venezuela? Can you say Belarus? Can name me a third world dictatorship. That's what this is. And these clowns are like, no one is above the law. Yeah, no one is below the law either. They're out now to frame Trump. They're out to destroy him. They're out to target him. And they're out to imprison him. And if they get away with this, I'm telling you, they're coming after other Republicans. They're already doing it. They're going to come after other conservatives, other patriots, anybody who dissents from the regime. Today, it's Trump. Tomorrow, mark my words, it's you and it's me. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. It's been quite a week. My question is for you is a simple one. What possible reason could he have for declassifying contingency plans for America's nuclear defense?
Well, we don't know if that's one of the documents there. That's the allegation that's being floated. But he has every right to declassify. Obama declassified. You guys didn't complain. Reagan declassified. Bush declassified. Clinton declassified. Carter declassified. What's the problem?
Why would Mr. Trump...
Again, look, Bill, I'm not going to get into this with you. Bill, listen to me. Bill, listen to me. The fact that you have an IQ in double digits is not my problem. I'm being serious now. So stop with the constant, he has every right to declassify documents. That is according to the Presidential Records Act. That has been law since 1978. So whether it's classified or not classified, he has every right to have access to them, to keep them, and to retain them. My question to you, and this is the only question that matters, who did Trump spy with? According now, the allegations against him now are that he violated the Espionage Act. So I want to know, where did Trump commit espionage, spying, and who did he spy with? Tell me, who did he hand these supposed defense documents to? Name me a country. Go.
The Espionage Act covers the release of sensitive, private, super secret information.
Yeah, that's Hillary Clinton. No. That's Hillary Clinton, and you guys wouldn't prosecute her for that. So let's not go down that road. My question is a different one. Who did he spy with? Which documents did he give to the Saudis, the Russians, the Chinese? Pick your country. Go.
Want to dodge my question. He had nuclear secrets, so secret that even the name of the category is redacted. What possible reason could he have for declassifying our most secret nuclear information? Everything you just said was a dodge. That's the question. Let's get back to the original question.
Bull crap. Listen to me. 20 IQ. Okay? Bull crap. Get this through your thick skull once and for all. We don't know what nuclear documents he has. You're making that up. Number two, he's charged with the Espionage Act. Who did he spy with? Who did he give sensitive information to? Obama took and declassified regarding many aspects of our nuclear weapons, our nuclear capabilities, attack plans. That was all okay. So what Espionage Act did he violate? Who did he spy with? Hello? Bye-bye, Bill. As usual, 617-266-6868. Your calls next. Let's go to David in Cape Cod. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, just a couple of things. This cracks me up. I mean, like you were saying, who did he give the nuclear secrets to? Back in 1994, let's go down memory lane. Who gave North Korea? Who did the nuclear deal with North Korea? It was Bill Clinton. Who gave 20% of our uranium to Russia?
Hillary Clinton. Hello, David. Did we lose David? Yeah, we lost David. No, David, you're making excellent points. I'm sorry, for some reason his phone line dropped, but you're completely right. Who gave sensitive nuclear technology to China? It was Bill Clinton in the 1990s. In exchange, by the way, for illegal campaign contributions from communist members close to the Chinese Communist Party. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is what I mean. I go like, and by the way, who sold our uranium to Russia? It was Hillary Clinton. Like, what are these people talking about? You know, so it's like, look, first of all, we don't know exactly what the document is. Nuclear secrets. Yeah, I want to see the document first. That's number one. Number two, according to the Presidential Records Act, if he wants to have access to that document, take that document, keep that document, he's got every right to. The whole indictment, I'm not the only one. Countless legal experts have said this. That's why they go, this thing goes in front of the Supreme Court. They're going to shoot it down so fast your head is going to spin. The indictment acts as if the PRA, the Presidential Records Act, doesn't exist. Now, forget even the Presidential Records Act. Read the act, by the way. Don't take my word for it. It stipulates that the president can have access to any and all classified, sensitive, or non-classified, non-sensitive documents, and he's allowed to take them with him when he leaves the presidency. Now, how much should he keep? How much should he not keep? That's why the Presidential Records Act says, in some instances, maybe the National Archives will want them. What's the property of the United States? What can belong to the president? And you deal with this in court. You negotiate in court. That's what Jimmy Carter has done. Ronald Reagan has done. Bush 41, Bill Clinton, Bush 43, Obama, everybody except Trump. Notice again, always with him. They always criminalize what is normal and legal for everybody else. Now, the other key point. When Jimmy Carter debated in the late 1970s, he accidentally let it come out that we had a secret cruise missile program. It was, you want to talk about top secret? Top secret. Nobody knew about it. Jimmy didn't do it deliberately, but Jimmy being Jimmy, the peanut farmer, he was incompetent. He wasn't a traitor. He was just incompetent. He blurted it out in a debate. And people were like, oh my God, that's classified. That's like top secret. Now, people were angry at Jimmy. People were criticizing Jimmy, but nobody said he should be prosecuted. Why? Because he's the president. He's the ultimate arbiter of what's classified and what's not classified. So nothing happened to Jimmy. So the double, triple standards now against Trump, I mean, honestly, it turns your stomach. I want to play this cut by Josh Hawley because I think it really embodies where we are now as a country. And look, it's very painful. It's sickening. I'm almost not able to sleep over this, to be honest. Grace says there's something wrong with me. She said it last night. You're not sleeping. You're tense. You're nervous. I see my grandfather. I see my father. I can see what's going on. And I'm trying to avert a disaster. I really am. They are playing now with fire. You start jailing political opponents. You start going after opponents of the regime. You start putting people in jail. There's no going back. There's no going back. And we're going to squander 240 years of the greatest country and the greatest republic in the history of the world. Listen now to Josh Hawley. He's just as worried as I am. Listen now to Senator Hawley. Roll cut 27. Mike.
We are at a moment of danger, a moment of inflection, a moment where the things that we do, the decisions that we make, the choices that we pursue in the next 4 or 5 or 6 years will determine the future of this country for the next 50 or 60. More than that, it will determine whether or not we have a country in the next 50 or 60. Do you agree? It is a moment of danger. Why? Because the left, even as we speak, the left is assaulting the very foundations of our American nation. They have decided that they no longer believe in the rule of law. Look what happened just yesterday. Former President of the United States indicted, the first time in American history that a sitting president has tried to indict and jail his opponent. I mean, all I can say about it is this. If the people in power can put in jail their political opponents, we don't have a republic anymore.
You're completely right, man. Like, amen. Like, scream it to the heavens. If a sitting president, this is not what this is all about, can jail his leading political rival, and can jail his political opponents, my friends, forget we don't have a republic. It's a dictatorship. Like, come on, let's not mince words. That's what dictators do. And let's be even more honest. That's what radical left-wing regimes do all over the world. It's what they do in communist Cuba. It's what they do in Venezuela. It's what they do in communist China. It's what they do in Putin's Russia. It's what they did in the Soviet Union. This is what radical leftists do. They go after their opponents and they censor them, they muzzle them, they demonize them, they delegitimize them, and then they imprison them. And you're lucky if you just get imprisoned, and sometimes they start shooting and killing them. So this is now where we are. Now, let me tell you something. I'm going to try to be a moderate on this and to be the last sane person left, okay, and have some reason here. Even if you hate Trump, let me just concede this. You hate him. You think he's a disaster. You think he's a toxic narcissist. You think he doesn't respect democratic norms. You think he's the worst president we've ever had. You can't stand the sight of the guy. Okay? Jack Smith, like Durham, could have put together a report which details and documents everything that his people found, and the witnesses and the maids and the servers and the military valets and all of this, and put it in a report. And then say, it's up to the country, it's up to the legislature, it's up to the voters to decide. But no, because remember, they got everything back. They got more than everything. As I said, they got Trump's passports, his books, his underwear, they got everything. They got everything, okay? So, all the documents you've recollected, you got them all back. But you didn't want to just do that. Hillary Clinton was not prosecuted. Joe Biden is not being prosecuted. But Trump is. His mission, the reason why he was named special counsel by that scumbag, Merrick Garland, and ultimately by Joe Biden signed off on this, is to get Trump. Get him and put him behind bars. That's the mission, and Jack Smith delivered. Now, this cannot go unanswered. To all the rhinos out there, oh, give him Trump. Come on, give him Trump. You know what Trump is? The Sudetenland. Trump is Czechoslovakia. You give them Trump, you give up everything. And if you think they're going to stop at Trump, then you're not just stupid and naive, but I believe ultimately you're a traitor. And that's why I am telling you, really, Trump has now won the Republican nomination. Because now you've got DeSantis supporters, you've got people now out of the woodwork saying, I wasn't going to vote for Trump in the primary. Now I'm voting for Trump. Out of principle, I'm voting for Trump. Because someone now needs to send a message to the deep state and to this regime. You don't pick our presidential candidates. You don't jail your political opponents. Not in the United States of America. Not on this garbage. While we know that the president is a freaking crook who took 10 million from Ukraine. 10 million. And did the bidding of the Ukrainians, and to this day is giving them unlimited billions of dollars because they're blackmailing and extorting them. And you're going after Trump? Are you serious? Like, really, are you serious? So this is now the issue. And the only quibble I have with Hawley's otherwise, I thought, brilliant, powerful, and brave speech, he says we have 4 or 5 years. No, we don't. We have 1 year. We have 1 year. If they take him out, and I believe now they will, I'm telling you, I think now it's pretty obvious, they're all in. And unless we push back, and I mean push back hard, I'm talking sound and fury, hit back so hard that their ancestors rattle, then they're not going to stop. This is Munich. This is the Sudetenland politically. Joe Biden must be impeached. Merrick Garland now must be impeached. This is no longer negotiable. And Kevin McCarthy, melt down his phone line. Call him, and tell him, because pressure, by the way, is building. He's under withering pressure now. The grassroots has had it. You impeach him now on 2 grounds. 1, for green-lighting the political persecution and prosecution of Trump. That's where he and Garland both now need to be impeached. And 2, on bribery with Ukraine. And let the American public see the cabal, the criminal cabal that is now in power. Because I'm telling you, if they pull this off, no Republican is safe from this point forward. No conservative is safe. You're not safe. I'm not safe. Let me give you Kevin McCarthy's number again. His direct line, this is his office, his office in Washington, D.C., 202-225-2915. 202-225-2915. If it's busy, voicemail full, whatever, call 202-225-4000. That's the Capitol Hill switchboard, and say, please give me the speaker's office. Be polite, be respectful, please don't swear, but be firm. Tell them McCarthy must impeach Biden and Garland. We must drop everything and now impeach Biden and Garland. And if he won't do it, we will replace him with somebody who has the guts, the bravery, and the patriotism to do it. It's now or never. We must make our stand. Our very democracy, our very rule of law, our very republic now hangs in the balance. 617-266-6868. Bob in North Andover. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff, I think you're entirely right, but the process should be a little bit different. I think McCarthy should open up 2 subcommittees to look at impeaching the Attorney General and look into impeaching Biden. You see, the point here is to explain to the American people what the Democrats have done. And you can do that if you have the research and you let this thing go on for 2 or 3 months, and then you formalize the impeachment process around September, October, and let it go for 6 months during that campaign period. The Democrats did the same thing with January 6th. There's all sorts of stuff that we can bring in. We can bring in the arbitrary treatment of people on January 6th. We can bring in all sorts of different avenues. Biden's participation in the meeting with Obama, bring those people in that were in the meeting, talk to Comey directly and find out what Comey's got to say under oath in terms of what he did and why this is different. Go through that whole process, but extenuate it. Let's not jump the gun. This is something that we need to manage and do it right. And we can do it right if we put up a subcommittee, let them look at all the avenues, what they need to investigate, where they're going, both people, the DOJ and Biden, and then turn around and push it to whether or not the House wants to vote. And let the Democrats eat it if they really want to support Biden, if they really want to support that justice system, because that's going to be on the ballot next year.
Bob, I agree with you. Very sane, sensible, rational, surgical, I think, points that you're making. Let me just ask you this. When everything is said and done, is Trump going to jail? Because as Jonathan Turley put it, and I respect him, he's a law professor at George Washington University. I don't always agree with him, but he's obviously a smart man. He's a well-read man. He's a well-published man. He says that all they need is one of those counts to stick. That's why they put 37 in there. And Trump's going to go to jail for many, many years. Do you think Trump is going to jail?
Has never really been brought to the case. It's a 1917 argument that really argues against free speech in a lot of ways. I'm not so sure it's even constitutional. But Jeff, the point that we need to do is to educate the Democrats and educate the country about the abuses. And we can do that if we take our time and do this. Let's go through the processes that the DOJ did. It's the DOJ, that the guys running, that has done all these terrible things, shut down FBI agents that want to talk, move them out, all sorts of things. And I think that we can really build a strong case and really win the election.
I agree. No, I agree. No, Bob, I really, really agree. Look, I think you're right. Put some pit bulls, let them run these subcommittees, really gather an overwhelming, irrefutable case, and then boom, in September, drop the hammer and just impeach on two fronts. Bob, I think it's a brilliant strategy. Best audience in the business. Bob, thank you for that call. Mark in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, buddy. Hey, I'm going to start with a quote from the great progressive Attorney General Eric Holder. In the United States of America, we do not threaten to jail our political opponents. Okay? That's what he said when it was Donald Trump, Jeff. I totally agree with him. Okay? So let's just start there. All right? Here's my problem with what the last caller said. What's going to happen, and I hate to say it, Jeff, is it's going to drag on, and it's going to drag on, and it's going to drag on, and come fall, it's going to be the usual garbage. Well, we're too close to election time. We're going to let the American people decide whether or not Joe Biden should get reelected, Jeff. If this were the left, they would have already impeached Trump twice on the things that they found out about Biden now. They would have already pulled Garland out of his office. They would have already arrested Christopher Wray. All these things would have already happened. Why? Because they play dirty, Jeff. They like to get into the mud. They like to sling it. Republicans, the leadership of this party, Jeff, they're nothing but feckless cowards, Jeff. They won't engage and do what they need to do to knock these people into the dirt. And it's unfortunate because there are a few that are willing to fight this fight, Jeff, but the leadership is the problem. They're nothing but cowards, or they're complicit, Jeff, and they don't have a problem with this. I don't know which one it is.
Mark, do you think Trump is going to spend time in prison?
Unless something big happens, I don't doubt it. That's what's really scary, Jeff. And you've said it a million times. If they can do it to him, they can do it to any of us. As soon as they get their power, Jeff, if Biden gets reelected and they take the House back and they have the Senate, you're going to see things like hate speech laws. You're going to see things like this, disinformation board. And if you're a politician or you're someone who challenges them, Jeff, and you put out something that they deem as disinformation, they're going to probably charge you. They're going to charge you with, sedition. They're going to charge you with, disseminating, misinformation from a foreign government. They're going to charge you with actual crimes, Jeff. You're going to see freedom of speech pretty much thrown into the garbage can, Jeff. And that's what's truly frightening about this whole thing is they're looking to basically corrupt the entire system, Jeff. They're power hungry, and that's all that they care about. They want to just eliminate anybody that has any opinion different from what they tell you to have.
Oh, you nailed it. Oh, Mark, as usual, you absolutely nailed it. Mark, thank you very much for that call. No, look, that's my big fear. And I can see it in, from liberals, moonbats, emails, text messages. I'm going to report you to the FBI. I swear you should see these idiots. I'm going to report you to the FCC. You're inciting violence. You're a fascist. You people are sick. You're sick. Really, man, you're sick. They're totalitarian thugs. As Trump said over the weekend, these are now Democrat communists who want to jail and imprison and destroy their opponents. And they're already targeting Catholics. They've infiltrated Catholic churches. They're going after conservatives. They've put January 6ers in jail, many of them for nothing. And now there's a list, an enemies list. They're going after mothers, literally moms against hate, who oppose critical race theory. Wake up.
This is like third world country stuff. Trying to put his opponent, who's leading him by a lot, wants to put him in jail.
President Trump, this was in North Carolina over the weekend, after the indictment against him was officially unsealed by special counsel Jack Smith. It is the Biden-Garland indictment claiming 31 violations, I swear to you, not of the Presidential Records Act, but of the Espionage Act. So apparently illegal retention of national defense information under the Espionage Act, 31 counts. Obstruction of justice, making false statements, 37 counts in all. It is the first time any president or leading political opponent has been charged by the Justice Department on behalf of the sitting president in power. As Trump said, this is the stuff of banana republics. We are now there. My question to you, what do you make of the indictment? And do you believe Trump will now go to jail? 617-266-6868. We've got David in Cape Cod back. David, apparently your phone line dropped, but you're back. You wanted to make the point about left-wing or the liberal accusations that, Trump had nuclear documents and nuclear secrets, and what's he doing with them, and this is treason. Please, David, pick up where you left off.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, just mentioning, reaffirm that Bill Clinton gave the ability for North Korea to get nuclear technology. Hillary Clinton gave 20% of the uranium allowed it to get to Russia. And I don't remember, Jeff, back in, I forget during the Clinton administration, I think they had like 200 volumes of records that they were subpoenaed to get. And suddenly they said, they weren't available. But all of a sudden, like a year or two later, they found these records that were requested. They were hiding these documents. So, Jeff, looking at this guy, Jack Smith, I'll tell you, it's like a movie. He looks like the guy himself. Say, for instance, the eyes of the window of the soul. The guy does look like Satan. And Merrick Garland with his cobra eyes. He probably drinks Bud Light when he goes home on the weekends. I'll tell you, these guys are so lame. I mean, you think they're bringing up that? You think that Donald Trump he's a busy man. Does he look the kind of guy that's the secretary? He's a delegate. You think he's at the basement of the White House counting millions of pages and say, hey, yeah, these 10,000 records aside. He doesn't have time for that stuff. This is a complete and total farce, Jeff. Two standards. And I'll tell you, you're talking about Sudetenland. If they put Trump in jail, Jeff, wouldn't that talk about Sudetenland, that would bring us to September of 1939 when a country went into Poland. They are playing with fire, Jeff. These guys are sinister. This is like right out of a Darth Vader movie or something, Jeff.
There's no question. No, look, Dave, I love the analogy that you're kind of jumping off of. Look, here's how they're going to play it out. This, at least unless we stop them. So this is how they want to play it out. They want to have him spend 400 years in jail. They're going to try to get him on one of these charges, hoping that one or two sticks. So more likely 20, 25 years. So they've jailed Trump. They send a message to anyone. You dare challenge the regime, we will imprison you, we will jail you, we will destroy you and your family. So we're going to have a leading political opponent and a former president rotting in prison. And now the precedent will be established that they can get you on anything, literally on anything. So what they've now done is they've criminalized opposition to the regime. And that's why Josh Hawley is 1,000% correct. It won't stop with Trump. Look, it's already not stopping with Trump. They're already talking about jailing DeSantis. They're already saying we want him on kidnapping charges for sending in these migrants and flying them to liberal sanctuary cities and sanctuary jurisdictions. So they're already saying, we knock this guy off, then we knock this guy off. And now they're talking about going after journalists. They want to go after me. They're going after conservatives. They're going after Christians. They're infiltrating Catholic churches. They're going now, they've got mothers on a terrorism list. Crime, they oppose critical race theory. There was a poll out. David, you need to know about this, all of you. NBC poll. 80% of all Democrats, 80%, say that if any Republican, forget Trump, any Republican was to ever come to the White House, this would pose, quote, a threat to democracy, a threat to America. They will never allow us to come to power again. And that's why I've been saying for a long time, you can't let them get away by demonizing us as insurrectionists, fascists, white supremacists, because if you do, then what you're saying is we must be crushed and we must be destroyed. And that's what they're trying to do. As Trump said in Georgia, they're after me, they're after you, I'm just in the way. Okay, many of you, the text line it's gonna blow. I mean, the text line is overheating, 70470-70470. By the way, the texts are pouring in from all across the country. I mean, we know we have a national following, several million via streaming, but the texts, I mean, they come in, don't get me wrong, from Texas and Iowa and Ohio and Florida. But this is now, when I say it's coming in everywhere, it's coming in from everywhere. Almost all of you are saying, where are the Republicans? Where's the fight? Where's the impeachment of Biden? Why are they not charging the administration? Why are they not going after Merrick Garland? And that's the question. Where are the Republicans? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen now to President Trump. He was exhausted. You can see that. It is taking an emotional toll on him. There's no doubt about it. He was in North Carolina, and now he's saying the quiet part out loud. The DOJ, the FBI, our federal law enforcement, completely and utterly corrupt and compromised. They are now no more than the security police arm of the Democratic Party. Roll cut 5, Mike.
We are a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. It's totally corrupt, and we can't let it happen.
No question about it. Of course it's completely corrupt. Listen to Trump. Please, whatever you're doing, stop. You need to listen to him. Because this is now his rallying cry. He is warning every single one of us. This is the final battle. Only one side in the end will be standing. Only one side will be victorious. Roll cut 5A. Mike.
This is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists. We will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will roll out the fake news media. We will expose the rhinos for what they are. We will defeat Joe Biden, and we will liberate America from these villains once and for all. We're going to liberate our country.
And now he's making his appeal, not to the Republican Party, not to Kevin McCarthy, not to the so-called Republican elites, the cowards and losers that they are, but to the silent majority of Americans, to middle America, to the heartland, frankly, to you, to me, to Kuhner country, and people like us who share our values, who share our patriotism, who share our love for the Constitution and our beloved republic. Listen now to Trump. Roll cut 5B, Mike.
The silent majority is rising, and under our leadership, the forgotten man and woman will never be forgotten again. Never be forgotten again.
It's up to us now. It really is. Many of you are texting, emailing, saying, Jeff, no one in McCarthy's office is picking up the phone. That's okay. Hey, they hold bankers' hours. Believe me, they don't break their back down there. So I think they start rolling in at about 9 o'clock. So please just keep calling. I'm going to give the number again. Call McCarthy's office. He is under tremendous pressure. There were a lot of stories. He's getting a lot of heat. Believe me, he's feeling it. Let's keep now adding that heat. Let's just keep pushing. 202-225-2915. That's his direct line. And also 202-225-4000. That's the Capitol Hill switchboard. You just call and say, Speaker's office, please. And tell them that you tell them it's time to impeach Joe Biden and impeach Merrick Garland. Drop everything. Everything. Impeach Biden, impeach Garland, stand with Trump. We demand it. And you make it very clear. Again, please don't swear. Don't be abusive on the phone, but be firm. Say, and if he won't do it, we will replace him with somebody who will. So if McCarthy wants to remain speaker, these guys, they should be doing this on their own. I mean, McCarthy should have ran out the moment these indictments were unsealed and said, you know what? Hey, Joe, you've just been impeached. Hey, Merrick Garland, guess what? Don't enjoy your Bud Light too much. We're going to impeach your ass. Okay? We shouldn't have to be, as I said, the political bayonet at the back. The political gun at the back of, come on. You got to charge the trench. Come on. Charge the front lines. Come on. But, with these cowards, that's how you have to do it. So the silent majority will no longer be silent. We've had enough. We've had enough. You poke the bear. Okay. Now the bear is awake. Biden must be impeached. Garland must be impeached. Period. A message must now be sent to the entire corrupt establishment. In this country, we do not jail our political opponents. In this country, we do not jail former presidents and the leading political rival on bullcrap, bogus charges. The Espionage Act? Are you kidding me? So tell me, what secrets did he give to what country? You phonies, you frauds, you. I'd be embarrassed to roll out something as disgraceful as this. So please, don't stop. Be relentless. Literally, our country depends on it. 617-266-6868. Deb on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Deb, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. I haven't
pleasure.
called in a very long time, but I just had to call today. Enough is enough. I did a little bit of reading, and if I can call it correctly, this Jack Smith is his name.
Yes.
His wife is a Democratic activist, and she gave several $1,000s to the Biden campaign. She also is a producer. She also was a producer for the documentary of Michelle Obama. And after I read that, I said to my husband, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about this guy. People are afraid to say they want to vote for Trump. I want him more than ever, and I'm an independent. How can you trust this guy in the White House? He's against his own people. People that are independents and Republicans, people fear today to go out in a store, a grocery store, anywhere in a group of people and say, yeah, I would vote for Trump. I'll vote for him more than ever now. This country is in shambles. This guy has done so much destruction to this country. I fear that it can never come back again. I mean, I would even vote for Kennedy, who's a Democrat, before this guy that's in the White House. I look at that picture. It sticks in my mind every time I think of Biden. I'm sure you've seen it. It's in his younger days when he has that really crooked smile. It's like looking at Lucifer. I mean, my heart races and I get anxiety. But definitely, I cannot believe what's going on. This Jack Smith didn't what's the guy's name that appointed him? They're all hooked up. They're all corrupt. These Democrats are incredible. I think you got a lot of independents out there who are not talking because they're afraid to talk. What happened at January 6th? We're afraid of our own leader in our country. Think about that, Jeff.
Oh, Deb, there's no question. No, there's no question. And I want to thank you for your call because you are completely right. Absolutely, completely right. Look, again, you got to see, as a good talk, I'm just telling you, as a popular talk show host, if you do your job properly, been told this many times, you get a lot of death threats. You just do. You get a lot of hate mail. You get a lot of death threats because that's the people who listen to talk radio, the haters. That's just what they do. But now it's a different dimension. It's sick the FBI on me, sick the FCC on me. You're a fascist. You're scum. We will destroy you. We will destroy your family. I'm telling you, there's something sinister, sadistic, and rabid with the left. 617-266-6868 is the number. Really, really good email from Larry. Jeff. Remember Bill Clinton's sock drawer conundrum? No, I remember that very clearly. Remember when Bill Clinton had classified documents and he stuffed them in his sock drawer? and Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit against Bubba saying we want to have access to those classified documents. Well, as Larry points out, there is precedent in President Trump's favor. A judge slapped down Tom Fitton and Judicial Watch over a lawsuit against former President Bubba Clinton. The judge said unequivocally that the president, under the Presidential Records Act, has the absolute right to declassify and keep whatever records he chooses, and to store them in whatever manner he or she decides. Bingo. And that's why they are petrified that this case is now in front of Judge Eileen Cannon. Judge Eileen Cannon is going to be at least presiding over the grand jury, the jury, forgive me, in Miami. Trump will be arraigned tomorrow at 3 p.m. Apparently there's going to be an army of security there. And so the judge in the case is not just a Republican judge, which already the left is screaming bloody murder about. You see, they want it in front of a moonbat Democrat judge. But she was also appointed by President Trump. So listen now to MSNBC analyst and former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance saying, oh, my God, the judge needs to be replaced. Well, why? Has the judge said anything, done anything unethical, done anything to show that the trial will be tainted? No, they just can't have a Republican judge. Because like in Stalin's Russia, it's got to be a kangaroo court. The outcome has to be decided before the trial even begins. Roll cut 43, Mike.
This is about how the public will view this case. And because of her decisions in the earlier matter, where the 11th Circuit didn't just reverse her, but they said she was out of bounds, that she lacked jurisdiction, they moved extraordinarily quickly to prevent her from allowing Trump to engage in delay. I think that alone might cabin her decision-making, but the judge who oversees a case has a lot of authority to make subtle decisions that don't necessarily come to public notice in time to impact the outcome of a case. She could impact the selection of jurors. She will rule on pre-trial motions. She would rule on the admissibility of evidence if she was the trial judge. And the reality is, in a case like this, the public won't have confidence whether she acquits or convicts. Better to pass it on to another judge who doesn't have that kind of a track record.
Right. So in other words, already now, you see, well, if Trump is acquitted, well, it's a Republican judge. So you see, already they're laying the groundwork for vilifying the judge in the case if the decision doesn't go their way. Like, I mean, honestly, it's unbelievable what they have done to our entire justice system. It's become a mockery. It's become a joke. The rule of law has been shattered. The DOJ, the FBI, our key institutions shattered. Democracy shattered. And we've still got another year and a half to go in this so-called, not even a presidency now, in this dictatorship. Now, I want to play one more cut. And this really sums the whole thing up. Rachel Madcow on MS Left BC really let the quiet part out loud. You know, there is a way out of this. We don't have to shatter precedent. We don't have to make ourselves a laughing stock in the eyes of the world. We don't have to go down the road of becoming a third world banana republic. Trump just has to do one thing. Cop a plea. And what's the plea? Well, it's very simple. It doesn't even include jail time. Just drop out of the race. If he will just drop out of the race and will never be president again, we'll leave him alone. In other words, cry uncle. Roll cut 31A. Mike.
Well, you know, if you go back 50 years instead of 49, you go to that president's vice president. With Spiro Agnew, you get a 40-count federal indictment that is brought against him, not related to Watergate, but because of crimes that he was committing in his own office in the White House. And in that case, what the Justice Department bravely and nimbly and controversially brokered with him is that indictment would essentially go poof in exchange for him agreeing to get out of the White House.
There you go. There you go. So, and by the way, and that's what many in the media are really that's what they're floating. In other words, well, offer Trump an exit ramp. Here's the exit ramp. You don't run. Just say, I'm done. I've had it. I can't take it anymore. I will no longer run for office. And all of this goes away. All of this pain, punishment, suffering, persecution, harassment, pressure, everything. It all goes away. Well, did he violate the Espionage Act or did he not violate the Espionage Act? Did he commit crimes worthy of going to jail for 400 years or did he not commit crimes worthy of going to prison and being behind bars for 400 years? This is political. It is a political assassination. They are doing to him what they did to John F. Kennedy, except they're trying to do it through legal, extrajudicial means. Agree, disagree. Ken in Malden. Thanks for holding, Ken, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. I'd like to say good morning, but it's not. I have a suggestion for all the patriots out there is that we're having discretion morning. I'm going to start flying my flag at half-mast. And I urge all the veterans out there, every American flying the flag, to lower your flag to half-mast. Let the country know that we're in mourning. And I have my flag at a 45-degree angle. And you can get a black ribbon that you can hang if you can't lower your flag to a half-mast. And my question is, where are all the police and military that took an oath that is still active to uphold the Constitution of the United States? Where are they? I mean, they see what's going on. They see the corruption, the amount of names that they had on the Durham report. It's just never ending. I mean, where are our American military and patriots? Are they all in hiding? Are they afraid to come forward because the repercussions they're going to face for backing the Constitution? I'm just perplexed. I don't know really how to proceed. I really don't. I mean, it's a disgrace what they're doing. So,
Ken, look, Ken, it's funny you should say that because that's literally what Grace and I were talking about last night. And, Grace has a theory that, and I'll have her, I don't want to speak for her. She'll speak for herself on Wednesday when I have her on, as I always do at 9:00. Grace has a theory that most men now have been emasculated, that this constant brainwashing, indoctrination, this effort to make men effete, to feminize men, has begun to pay off. Because her question is, where are the men? I mean, of course, the women are there. That goes without saying. But where are the men? And I'm just amazed at the tepid response. And again, I'm not saying do anything violent. There's nothing that you don't have to resort to violence. Far from it. But in any other age, in any other time, I mean, I'm telling you, McCarthy would have been introducing articles of impeachment yesterday. I mean, they'd be lining up. It would be speech after speech denouncing this. They would be defunding the FBI, defunding the DOJ. There'd be articles of impeachment against Garland, articles of impeachment against Biden. There'd be calling a convention of the states, which is another option I think we should now seriously consider, and just say, you know what? The federal government has gotten way too big, way too powerful, way too tyrannical and centralized and dictatorial, and we need to rein it in. In other words, they would be getting hit on so many freaking fronts, and they would be denounced so hard that they would retreat. But there's just very little pushback. And Ken, look, I'm going to lay it the way I see it. I'm going to call it the way I see it. There are 3 people now that I know for sure, 3 members of Congress, that are really leading the charge against Biden and calling for his impeachment. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace, Congresswoman from South Carolina, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna from Florida. 3 of them, all of them, if you've noticed, women. And they're saying, it boggles my mind that Biden hasn't been impeached yet. Like, seriously, I'm paraphrasing what they're saying. What does this man have to do to be impeached? He has opened the borders of the United States. He has allowed tens of millions of illegals to pour into our country. Americans are literally being killed because of this illegal invasion. He is taking bribes from foreign countries who are now blackmailing him, and we are sending Ukraine unlimited billions of dollars. The man is a crook. And let me tell you, I want to give both Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene, frankly, all 3 of them, and Anna Paulina Luna, real credit for this. Several of them went on Maria Bartiromo yesterday, and they said we were shocked when we saw the Biden bribery document because they're on the committee, so they got to see it, read it, and really the whole thing. And they said, we thought that the Ukrainians, Burisma, the top executive, were bribing the Bidens and basically saying, look, $5 million for you, $5 million for you, do what we ask you to do. No. She said it was, all of them said, it's the exact opposite. The Bidens approached them like they're a mob, literally like a political mafia. And they said, if you want, this was the term that was used, if you want protection, you know, the way the mob comes to your business and say, hey, you know what? You want to make sure your store isn't burned down? You want to make sure no one comes in and breaks your legs? Well, you need some protection. And that's what we're here to give you. We're here to give you a little protection. They went to the Burisma executives and said, you're going to need some protection, buddy. If you're going to survive, if you're not going to go under, then you better put my son on the board and pay him $80,000 a month. You're going to cut him a check for $5 million. You're going to cut the big guy, me, a check for $5 million. And then, wink, wink, we'll take care of you. So they approached Burisma, and the terms that they used was, you need protection, we can offer you protection. Now, this is Congresswoman Mace. This is Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're like, we were shocked and horrified. They're literally behaving, these are their words, like gangsters. Like they're from the mob. It's like a political mafia. They go around country after country and they say they're extorting them. I mean, they're being extorted as well, but they're extorting them. Saying, no. You wanna make sure things don't go bad for you? You wanna make sure you make money? You gotta line our pockets. We gotta wet our beak. Now, why is it women that are leading the charge on this? Like, I'm sorry? Have all the men lost their freaking testicles? I'm sorry to put it so crudely. So, look, Ken, you're completely right. And look, here's my prediction. Trump already, and he mentioned it in his speech, CBS News has another poll, post-indictment. His numbers are through the roof. Trump's numbers are through the roof. Honestly, I don't even know why he and DeSantis attack each other anymore. Trump now is sailing to the nomination. They've now made him more popular. Fundraising now, he's bringing in more cash than he's ever brought in. So I think one of the reasons why Trump is soaring is because the country looks at him and says, finally, a man of courage, a man of principle, a man who will not back down in the face of these relentless assaults. John Wayne, finally, a man. I mean, Ken, am I wrong?
forget one thing, is that MTG supported McCarthy on that bill. And she says one thing, but when she backs McCarthy, and what did McCarthy do? He sent everybody home, and then he goes in and he meets with the traitor behind everybody's back. So the rhinos are just as bad. They're as guilty. They all. I can't think of. There's a couple of them. Matt Gaetz, who speaks up and everything. He's been calling for impeachment also. A lot of these people, like I'm saying, they're all compromised too. They're all making money here. They all have secrets, and I think that's why they're afraid to come forward, because the deep state, FBI, DOJ has dirt on all of them, and I think they're all compromised. I think they all probably should be in jail.
You're dead on. No, you're dead on, Ken. You're dead on. That's the problem. That the Republican Party, the overwhelming majority of the Republican Party, is as corrupt and compromised as the Democrats. And that's why, if you notice now how Trump speaks, he says, quote, the criminal political class. So he's basically saying both parties, with a few exceptions, obviously. And you mentioned some of them, like Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and the rebels and, whatever. But outside of these, patriots, and they really are patriots, he goes, you're basically dealing with a criminal cabal. The country's now, it's a mafia state. The country is now run by criminals. And they're as corrupt as hell, and everyone is compromised, and that's why they all want Trump gone. They don't want the sheriff to come in and to clean up the regime. I mean, look, if I was them, not that I ever would be, don't get me wrong, but if I was them, if I'm up to my eyeballs in bribery and corruption, and I'm selling the country down the river, look, as one of the previous callers put it, Jeff, my God, how many years has our border been open? How many years have millions and millions and millions of illegals keep coming in and nobody does anything? How many jobs do we keep sending overseas? How many endless wars we keep fighting? How many American lives we just keep sacrificing? And nobody cares? Something is wrong. Yeah, they're all bought and paid for. That's what's wrong. And by the way, to give him his due, and I'm not a liberal and I'm not a Democrat, that's why RFK Jr. is catching on like fire. Because, I disagree with him on some issues. The guy's not bought and paid for. I'm sorry. He's an honest man. I mean, I may disagree, but that's okay. He's a patriot. He's not in it for the money. He's already got money. So that's why they want to destroy him as well. So, no, Ken, look, you're completely right. That's why the Republicans, there's no full-throated defense of Trump. Because deep down, they know they're just as bad as the Democrats. What I can't wrap my mind around, honestly, Ken, are the dumb Democrats, the moonbats and the rhinos, who are shilling for all of these corrupt politicians. Yeah, get them, get Trump, yeah, lock him up, not for 400 years, for 4,000 years. Yeah. I'm like, you like it when they steal your money? Yeah, you like that? You like it when they sell your country down the river? You like that? Like, why these idiots would blindly follow crooks, criminals, who are stealing from them. It's their money. That's what I can't, Ken, that's what I can't wrap my mind around. As my father used to say, Ken, you just can't fix stupid.
It ain't just that. In my opinion, the Rhinos are worse than Democrats, because you know where the Democrats are coming from. They're coming from the front. The Rhinos are stabbing everybody in the back.
Right in the back. No, to me, they're the worst. They're the worst. Ken, as I've always said, the first socialist was Lucifer. The first rhino was Judas. And if you remember Judas, Christ even said to him, you will betray me. And he said, no. He even kissed Christ on the cheek. I love you. Jesus, I love you so much. Right on the cheek. And then, bang, shivved him right in the back. That's a rhino for you. Ken, thank you so much for that call. It's known as the kiss of Judas. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Listen now to President Trump saying, what the hell ever happened to the Presidential Records Act? He's like, you what? You want to get me under what? The Espionage Act? You mean that was passed in World War I? By the way, it was passed to silence dissent. It was used to put opponents of the war against a Democrat, Woodrow Wilson, in jail. And he goes, that's what you're trying to get me on? Roll cut 8A. Mike. Sorry, 8. No, my bad. Forgive me.
President, all of my documents fell under what is known as the Presidential Records Act, which is not at all a criminal act. Everything. It's all judged by the Presidential Records Act. In this whole fake indictment, they don't even once mention the Presidential Records Act, which is really the ruling act, which this case falls under 100%, because they want to use something called the Espionage Act. Doesn't that sound terrible? Oh, espionage. We got a box. I got a box. The espionage.
I gotta love the guy, man. I mean, you're facing hundreds of years in jail. They're going to destroy you, your family, your business, and he's still cracking jokes. You know, I mean, the guy's got skin of steel. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you, what do you make now of the unsealed indictment against Trump? 37 counts. 31 of them violating allegedly the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice, making false statements. They want him behind bars for many, many years. Will Trump go to jail? What do we do next? What should we do next? 617-266-6868. Steve in Braintree. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Hey, buddy, how are you? I'm going to give you two age-old tenets that are still true to this day. First, when your enemy is destroying himself, don't get in his way. Two,
Steve, you sound like, let's see if we can, I think maybe you're in a bad zone. Let's see if we can reconnect with Steve, and we'll come right back to him. Joanne in Boston. Thanks for holding, Joanne, and welcome.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I just want to say that, I mean, I've been following what's going on for 9 years in this country, and Trump knows what these people are doing. I'm talking not just politicians, but specifically the politicians, what Democrats or Republicans, he knows what they've done, and it's evil. And all I'm going to say, it's all about the children, and they want him out of the picture.
When you say it's about the children, what do you mean, Joanne?
It has to do with the trafficking. I'm not going to go into more details, but he has all the information on the, they're Satanists. So, you know, I can't go into detail. It's too horrific. But if people do the research, because I've done it, and it's there, you know, you can look it up. Look up Liz Crokin, look up Lara Logan. They're all saying it. It's there, and it's terrible. And they're all involved. And 80%, I'd say 80% of our government, federal government, and state governments, there's a lot of people involved. And I've been following this for a long time, and I'm really upset over it.
Well, Joanne, I got to tell you, you have Ashley Biden, who is Joe Biden's daughter, in her own diary, wrote that Joe Biden, when she was 11 and 12 years old, took inappropriate showers, naked showers with her in the bathroom. That's what she says in her own diary. And she says she's blaming him, saying that that's why she's been messed up her whole life, got into drugs, alcohol, that basically her father molested her. That's essentially what she's saying in the diary. So you look at the way Biden has been inappropriately touching kids over many, many years. You look at him over the weekend. He openly embraced transgenderism, and he openly embraced transgenderism for children. So he's saying drag queens for kids, Great. Puberty blockers for kids, chemical castration, great. Genital mutilation of children for a sex change operation, great. I mean, it's beyond disgusting. So they're now openly pushing child abuse and, frankly, borderline pedophilia. So I'm just telling you, you look at the Biden regime, to me, there's no other word. Demonic is the only thing that comes to mind. And you look at Jack Smith, those cold, dead eyes. I'm telling you, it's almost like he smells of sulfur. And have you seen the way he dresses? He dresses like, I'm not kidding, like some kind of like a Vulcan. It's bizarre. He's a hitman. He's a hitman. Biden gave the order. It's like a mafia family. Biden told Garland, take Trump out. Garland told Jack Smith, take Trump out. And that's what we're witnessing. In front of our eyes, a political hit job. Joanne, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868. Tom in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Jeff, I called you about a month ago. I told you that President Trump would be indicted at the end of May. I was off by 2 weeks. He's going to be indicted for the January 6th insurrection the next month or two. And then in Georgia, August, September, he'd be indicted by the Georgia District Attorney. Now, what this will lead up to, they're trying to put him in jail, convict him by February, March next year, so he can't run for the Republican primary. The reason for that, Jeff, he's a political opponent of the Republican Party. All you conservative talk show hosts, yes, attack the Democrats, but you should also, at the same time, be attacking the Republican Party, because they don't represent 90% of what the people want. If you walk the halls of Congress today, and I've been doing it over 40 years, you won't find one Republican, except maybe a handful, that they hate President Trump. You won't find any that like President Trump. So until the conservative media gets off this liberal, conservative, nothing is going to change in this country. We haven't had a conservative president since Eisenhower. Why do I say that? Ronald Reagan, he gave amnesty to 3 million illegal immigrants, a Republican. Whereas Eisenhower took the army when he found out there were 3 million illegal immigrants and tossed them all out within 4 to 5 months. So that's the problem. The people are not being represented. Of course, the liberal media, they're destroying the country, Democrats, and the conservative media at the same time.
I think you're right. It's now patriotism versus globalism. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, couple lines are open if you want to jump on. Let me ask a couple of very important questions right now, because we're clearly at an inflection point. It's a watershed, and what we do going forward, I believe now will determine the destiny of our country. Do you think Republicans in the House in particular should immediately start impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden and Merrick Garland? In other words, do the Republicans now have to punish Biden, go after Biden, not just to expose his crimes, the $5 million he took from Burisma, as is now proven in that FBI document, in exchange for changing policy positions and selling our country down the river, but for ordering Garland and ordering Jack Smith to take out his leading political opponent. In other words, for crimes against our democracy and for trying now to impose a tyrannical police state. Should Biden be impeached? And should McCarthy now lead impeachment hearings against Biden and obviously against Garland? I say unequivocally yes. There must be massive pushback, massive. And the Democrats must learn that they're going to pay a severe price if they're going to start weaponizing the DOJ, the FBI, and the legal system to now target their political opponents. I also want to ask you maybe even a more relevant question. Listen now to President Trump. I want you to listen to him. Because what he's saying is, ultimately, this is not about me. I mean, yes, it's about me. I'm the one that's facing all these indictments, all these charges. I may be going to jail for the rest of my life. But it starts with me, but it ends with you. Roll cut 7B, Mike.
These criminals cannot be rewarded. They must be defeated. We have to defeat them soundly. In the end, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way.
I think he's right. In fact, on this, I think he's prophetic. And this is my big fear. That if they can jail Trump, they can jail anyone. And I've talked about how they already want to jail DeSantis. And how they've already put conservatives, Christians, patriots on an enemies list. Literally, a counterterrorism enemies list. You have Biden now openly saying anyone who opposes my regime is, quote, an enemy of the state and an enemy of the people. The Catholic Church is now being infiltrated with FBI agents. Americans are being spied on. The FBI has been caught censoring, urging big tech to censor me, Tucker Carlson, anyone who goes after the Biden regime. This is all now the FBI now is muzzling opponents of the regime and trying to use big tech to do it. So if you think it stops with Trump, it doesn't. And that's why I'm saying forget Trump, whether you love him or hate him. The principle at stake now is the principle that will define us as a nation, as a people, as a country. Do we have the rule of law? Are we a constitutional republic? Are we a true democracy? Can the voters decide who they want to be their next leader? Or are we now going to establish the ominous, dangerous precedent that a dictatorial, power-mad, power-hungry regime can use trumped-up charges, the Espionage Act? You know how ridiculous that is? Going all the way back to 1917. To jail, not just a former president, but what's never been done, a leading political rival and political opponent of the current administration, the current regime in power. Because I'm telling you, today it's Trump. Tomorrow it's you, it's me, it's all of us. 617-266-6868 is the number. I'm getting a lot of this through emails, on Facebook, on Twitter. So I want to ask you, many of you said, Jeff, I was planning to vote for DeSantis, or some of you said Nikki Haley. And what was it? A couple of you said Tim Scott. But now as a matter of principle, to show these thugs in the Biden regime and in the deep state that they can't just take out their political opponents whenever they want. I must stand with Trump. This is why I will vote for Trump in the primary. Have you changed your vote now because of this indictment? 617-266-6868. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
Thank you for taking the call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
You know, the United States has been first in many things, but they've just topped the list of the most politically corrupt country in the world. What's happening is to Donald Trump, he's absolutely right. He was only the figurehead. They're going after the party. They're going after the people. They want a one-party system in this country that they can control, and they've already controlled it. And if we're counting upon the now Republican-held House to step forward, I think that's something we can forget about, because they're bent on removing Donald Trump from ever running for any political office. Otherwise, they would be banging the doors up there at the Capitol, demanding to know what's going on. This is an assault on a democracy. This is an assault in America. When you have a constitutional attorney like Alan Dershowitz stepping forward and saying that this is a joke, this should never happen in a democratic society, that speaks volumes about what is going on. When President Trump goes in front of that judge in Florida, the question that should be asked is what you brought up earlier. The first question the judge should ask the prosecution is to whether or not these charges would have been brought forward if Donald Trump was not seeking re-election. Now, does the president, after leaving office, have the power to declassify? That is another big question that should be raised. But the Democratic Communist Party always has an end game. And what their end game is to push the envelope to a point where it so much infuriates America and its citizens, whether they be Democratic, Republican, Independents, regardless of their political affiliation, to a point of revolt. And when that happens, they will have the perfect excuse to call out martial law. And as we all know what they're going for, they're going after two of the biggest patriots in American history. And it's not Ronald Reagan, and it's not Patton. It's Smith & Wesson. That is their end game, and they always have an end game. And the biggest mistake Donald Trump ever made in his political career was not to go after Hillary Clinton and to prosecute her, because that opened the door. That opened the door for the Democratic Party to do whatever it takes to submit any individual who was against them. What this is the biggest cover-up in American history. This is a cover-up from the Hillary Clinton emails to Burisma, to Joe Biden's son, to the phony FBI investigation into those Steele documents and Russian collusion. This is a continuation. And I hope in the interest of democracy in this country tomorrow, when President Donald Trump goes in front of that judge, she looks at this and she flushes it down the toilet in the name of democracy.
Amen. CJ, as usual, drop the mic. Could not have said it better myself. 617-266-6868 is the number. Jennifer in Lawrence. Thanks for holding, Jennifer, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Well, as good as I can be right now. You know, I'm really aggravated, upset. You know, I originally was going to vote for Ron DeSantis, but then after all of this going on with Trump, this just makes me want to vote for him even more now. You know, I fear for my daughter, and I'm sure you fear for your kids too. You don't want to, you know, this is like a dictatorship. It's crazy.
Jennifer, what do you think happens from this point forward? He's going to be arraigned tomorrow in Miami, in a courthouse, district court, in Florida, 3 p.m. They're going to list all 37 counts against him. Now they're claiming he violated the Espionage Act, that essentially he's a spy. That he's a spy who should never have been held on to this national defense information. He may have compromised it. He may have given it to someone else or another power or another agent. What do you make of all this? Do you think Trump is going to end up going behind bars, or do you think ultimately he will be triumphant and vindicated?
So I pray that he doesn't go behind bars, but, you know, the Democrats, they'll do anything to make him go to jail at this point because they just want to rule, and I don't know. I hope he doesn't. You know, Wednesday's supposed to be his birthday, and what, he's going to be arrested the day before his birthday? It's shameful.
And there's more coming. They want to get him on seditious conspiracy for January 6th. They want to put him in behind bars for that. When you start adding up all the years they want to put him in jail, I'm not kidding, I think it's going to hit 1,000. From Alvin Bragg to this, to January 6th, to Georgia, I think they're looking at 1,000 years. The Nazis, I'm not kidding, in Nuremberg, did not get 1,000 years. Trump, under the Democrats, will get 1,000 years. I mean, Jennifer, honestly, I don't know what else to say.
Oh, I don't either. I'm speechless.
I mean, he's worse than Hitler. According to them, he's worse than Hitler.
You know, all we can do is pray for him, right, Jeff? At this point,
and speak out. We've got to speak out, and we've got to defend him now. I think everybody, every single person, man, woman, and child now, we have to stand up and be counted. Jennifer, God bless you, and thank you so much for that call. Okay, a lot of people are now texting in, emailing, saying they managed to get through to McCarthy's office. So, hey, somebody's finally working there, huh? Boy, it's only just almost 10 o'clock. You know, I know it was the weekend, but still, you know, boy, I got to tell you, you know, believe me, they're not breaking their back up on Capitol Hill. So the number again, if you want to call, 202-225-2915. This is McCarthy's direct office, 202-225-2915. If for whatever reason the mailbox is full or they're not picking up or the secretary wants to go on break again, 202-225-4000. And that's the switchboard for Capitol Hill. Say, please give me the speaker's office. And tell him loudly, clearly, again, please don't use any profanity, obscenities, bad language, but be firm, politely but firmly. It's time to impeach Joe Biden. It's time to impeach Merrick Garland. Nothing else matters. It's time for them to stand up to this tyrannical dictatorial regime. 617-266-6868. Nick in Weymouth. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, I'll tell you what's being given a good leaving alone, as they say. Mr. Jay Bratt, he's a guy behind the whole planning of the Mar-a-Lago raid. He's the special counterterrorism expert prosecutor for Garland, right? Trustee has relayed, and only a few people have mentioned this, he went after the attorney, Stanley Woodward, of Walt Notman, right? Excuse me. He's Trump's aide who's been declared the co-conspirator. What happened was, and this guy Bratt, by the way, he's a spook. He's a typical spy undercover, blah, 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 blah. You know nothing about him. For God's sakes, the man doesn't even have a neck. He probably couldn't register on a police lineup chart. He's another malignant dwarf, if you will, just like Garland. I like to throw that around. I do love the dwarfs that work for Snow White, though. Anyways, in a session with 5 other people, this guy Bratt approached Stanley Woodward, not his lawyer, and he said, if you want, they knew that Woodward was up. He had applied for a judgeship. So they approached him and they said, if you want this judgeship on Joe Biden's desk, you have to flip your guy to cooperate against Trump. All right? So Jordan actually mentioned all this stuff. He sent a letter to Judge Boasberg. He's the high mucky-muck of all federal judges, 11th District, whatever the hell it is, right? Appointed by Roberts, of course, because he takes turns when Rosemary Collier, she was fast asleep at 90-something years old. She didn't know what was going on in the FISA court, which came under her. This guy Boasberg, recommended by Obama, by the way, to, what's his name, Roberts, he sent a letter. Woodward, the lawyer, sent a letter to him and told him what happened. This will go nowhere. You know why? Because he's the same guy that...
Nick, we're out of time, but no, it's incredible. They've indicted someone else alongside Trump, one of his military or his aides, and it's Walt Nauta, and they tried to flip his lawyer to get Nauta to go out to denounce Trump by literally bribing him with a judgeship. Incredible.